Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and welcome to the IndyBuilds A350 once again. Today we are going to check out the latest version, as they are really doing a lot of fixes to the aircraft and releasing pretty much weekly updates, and that includes a lot of the things that I have reported as well, so the aircraft is getting better every single day. Now, a lot of you have asked me recently if I could do some more Pacific flying, so that's what we are going to do today. We'll take the Delta A350-900 from Sydney over to Los Angeles on the Delta Flight 42. So follow me inside and we will head over right to our cockpit to prepare this beautiful beast for today's flight to the United States. As you can see, we also have a first officer in our aircraft now, so we are no longer spending the time alone over here. Now, before we go into anything else, let's go ahead, as always, and start to look at the flight plan, and once that is done, we can go ahead with the rest of our flight deck preparation. Now, as always, we are taking the flight plan straight off SimBrief, and I did try to make it as realistic as possible, and you'll see that there are actually quite some, let's say, differences to what you're used to in today's plan. So let's get started. And here we go. On SimBrief from Sydney over to Los Angeles, Delta Flight 42. Let's go ahead and view the PDF, as that's really the best way to brief this in my opinion. So starting with the route, we are departing Sydney on almost a straight line for the next 13.5 hours. We do have 3 ETOPS alternates today, and the first one is over here, November Whiskey Whiskey Whiskey. Then we've got Rarotonga, and then we have, I believe, PHTOS Hilo, and then last but not least Los Angeles. We are using the 370 minutes ETOPS today, even though theoretically we could do this with a 180 ETOPS, just about, but we could do it. So looking into the significant weather chart, we are departing with a good jet stream in our back, then crossing a large field of thunderstorms over here. This is once again the intertropical convergence zone. Yes, you hear me say that quite a lot on long hauls, because it just is that important. So then, once we have passed the ITCZ, we are heading out via the Pacific Ocean for a couple hours of a smooth ride until we cross the next jet stream up here. And we can see that going into Los Angeles, we are once again crossing a couple of jet streams and a couple of turbulence areas over here and over here as well. So it might be a little bit of a bumpy flight today, but we'll just have to do our best to make it through this. Alright, and that's the basics of our flight planning. Then let's go into the weather, cause, well, you can see there's rather many SIGMATs out here, but we are going to ignore most of those. We'll just look at the radar and fly around whatever we see. Now, for our departure airport, Sydney, we've got calm winds, and other than that, good conditions. We are going to depart on 3-4 left today, and our destination, Los Angeles, currently light easterly winds. Probably gonna change. I do expect runway 25, and as we can see, the wind is actually changing into a westerly direction throughout the day. Our alternate Ontario is very good as well. And then we can go ahead and have a look into our ETOPS alternates. So for the fuel alternate, we are using Honolulu, which has excellent weather. And then for our ETOPS alternates, we start with Tontuda, and that one has pretty good conditions all over the day, as we can see. Then our alternate Rarotonga is pretty good as well, with a little bit of chance for some gusts at 25 knots, but that shall really not be a problem. And then last but not least, we are looking at Hilo, and Hilo has very good weather conditions. And then Los Angeles is the last alternate that we are using, and again, Los Angeles is pretty good. So with all that in mind, let's have a look into the flight plan, and as we can see, if we depart on time, we're going to arrive 20 minutes ahead of schedule. And we have a lot of margin to all of those weights. And for my European friends over here, remember we are flying Delta, so that's a US carrier. That means our weights are in pounds today. Now from here on, we can go ahead, scroll down a little bit to our fuel section. And as you can see, they want us to leave with around 193.3 thousand pounds plus taxis. So if we make that 195, we should be absolutely good to go. We do have some ETOPS fuel on board today, 24 minutes, and ETOPS fuel is basically needed because our alternates are so far away that if right here at the equal time point we have a decompression and an engine failure, So we'd have to fly this entire flight over here from the equal time point to Los Angeles, which is, you know, some 2.5, 3 hours-ish. If we have to fly that on a single engine at level 100, well, that of course uses quite a bit more fuel, and since there is no alternate anywhere in between, that's why we have to take additional fuel for that ETOPS section of the flight, and that's the ETOPS fuel that we are looking at over here. So overall, pretty good conditions, and no need to take much extra. 195 it is, and that should be more than good to go. Alright, so with these basics now settled, let's go ahead and start setting up our flight today. So, the power is already on, however the APU is shut down, so let's go ahead, turn on our IRSs, and then we'll start with the APU start. So for that, we'll do the recall for 3 seconds, and that is looking good. Then we've got no dispatch page just yet, but getting there soon. So, fire test is looking good, and then with all that stuff done, let's go ahead and fire up the APU so that we can make it nice and comfy for when our passengers arrive. So, while that's in progress, let's check the status of our aircraft. So the oxygen quantities are good, rain repellent level is normal. Then we head over into the hydraulics, and they are full. And then down into the engines. For that we gotta power the FADEC up here. And here we go, the engine oil quantity is full, so that's just about perfect. Alright, then we can shut the FADECs back down again, close the guards, and that's it. So last thing for us to check is the flap indicator, and the flaps are at 0, speed brakes retracted, that matches the levers, and finally the brake pressure indicator is green as well. Alright, perfect. So that's our basics done. Let's go ahead and get right into the flight deck setup. So this is basically our standard inspection that you guys are used to already. The airplane has not been refueled just yet, so we are going to leave the fasten seatbelt signs off for the time being. However, we can turn the pumps on. And then APU has just become available, so the bleed comes on, external 1 goes off. We do need some temperature control today in the aft hold, down to 5, nothing in the front, so we'll turn that off to save another 0.8% of fuel. CVR test is okay. And then going down here, we've actually got to find our weather, so let's go ahead and import our SimBrief flight plan. And then let's move on to the takeoff performance and synchronize from SimBrief, synchronize the weather, QNH 3012. Alright, so down here, let's go to menu and baro units, inches. And then we need 3012, and here it is. Perfect. So the other side is all set. Then down here on the radios, we'll use 1 to 2.8 and 1 to 1.5. Like that. Transmit and listen to VHF 1, listen to VHF 2, interphone coming up, cabin interphone coming up, and passenger address system coming up. Over here everything's set, and you will use the very same data that we are using over here. Thank you very much. Down here everything's set, and well, we do have a third pilot on a flight like this, so we'll also turn this stuff up down here. Alright, and that's this part of the setup complete. Then let's get right into our FMS. So for the aircraft status, A350-900 with no fuel penalty, nav database is current, and there is no stored elements. So then let's move on to the initialization, and we can do the flight plan request. And at the same time we can, well, I'll tell you what, let's forget about those 2D panels. We will simply use the OAS down here. So load sheet, let's go ahead and import that real quickly. So for the fuel we said we wanted 195. Like that, so set 0 fuel weight and set fuel. With that our aircraft is loaded and the fuel loading has gone well. Perfect. One thing I want to do though is to dim those instruments a bit. I think this is a little bit nicer to look at. Alright, company flight plan has been received. Insert. And we've got Delta 42, Sydney to Los Angeles, alternate Ontario, flight level 350, Econ, cost index 30 with a tailwind, and then we can import the winds as well, and insert. So then, onto our flight plan. First top of climb, and we've got a tropopause in 53,000 and a temperature minus 46. So we'll start up here, minus 46, and the tropopause today in 53,000. Alright, so onto the IRS, nothing we gotta do over here, and then departure. Come on. So, runway 34 left, and we have the Sydney 3 departure today. Temporary flight plan and insert, and then into Los Angeles. We are arriving via 25 left with an ILS approach. Our arrival today is going to be the Goats 2 arrival from Ficky. So Goats 2, transition Ficky, and insert. So let's go ahead and find those departure charts. Sydney, search. We are using Navigraph charts today, since Delta would be using Jefferson, I suppose. So, pin that, and then for our departures, we are looking for the Sydney 3 departure with radar vectoring. So, caution parallel runway ops, that's somewhat expected. And initial climb, looks like there's no altitude given down here, that's fine with me. Alright, cool. So that's everything we need over here. So on the track 335 and then radar vectors. And that's exactly what we've got down here. Excellent. So back over here, then onto the nav aid where we don't need anything. Fuel and load. Let's have a look at what we're expecting. So 384.2. Like that. CG is unknown for the time being, so I'll just enter 25 and 195 for the fuel. Taxi 1.3 seems okay. Then let's have a look at the rest of our fuel data. So final reserves 5.2 and alternate 4.4. So final 5.2, alternate 4.4. And of course we do want a 3% reserve. Alright, that's looking good for the time being. Then let's continue on the takeoff performance, and then we can check that out over here as well. So we'll just take the data as it is right now. Conf 1 plus F is okay, air conditioning off, and compute. That gives us a 44 degrees flex temperature. Send that to the FMS please. And confirm, packs off, anti-ice off, noise abatement procedure 2, engine out acceleration in 1500 above the ground please. Position monitor, departing Sydney on 34 left. Alright, and for the climb page, auto derate is already selected. Transition altitude 10,000, let's cross-check that against the chart, and indeed that's correct as we can see. Well, then let's go on with our emergencies. So waypoint, pilot stored waypoint, new, and that's gonna be Sydney X, or what's that, 34 left, I suppose that's number 6. So, Yankee, Sierra, Sierra, Yankee, 34 left, bearing 335, and the distance is 25 miles. Alright, and store that waypoint. Then let's move on to the secondary flight plan. Import active. Back on the flight plan, and let's give it a while to actually load everything. Insert next waypoint, that's SIT-X6 that we've just created. And over here we do want to pick up a holding, like this. Then we need a new destination, and that's gonna be back to Sydney. The YSSY. And for this, we are going to arrive on 34 left, which is the longest runway with, well, yeah, let's take the GLS, because why not? Alright, and that's everything entered down here. Then back to the primary flight plan. Here we go, onto the flight plan info, and then fix info. Now let's draw the extended center line. So Sydney 34 left, with a radial 335. And then we can enter the fix over here as well, so that's going to be sit X6. And here we go. So from here back onto the flight plan info. No, actually now we are going to go down here onto the step altitudes. For this we need the OFP once again. So the first step climb is going to be flight level 370 at November. So November, flight level 370. Then we need flight level 390 at 0 north 165 west. Let's actually see what the name of that waypoint is in our plan. Okay, 00N 165W. Perfect. Let's find that. Here we go, and that's gonna be flight level 390. And last but not least, we're looking for flight level 410 at 20 north 140 west. This one, and flight level 410. Alright, temporary and insert. And that's our step climbs now entered. Now with that, let's go back to the fuel and load page. So exactly 0 extra fuel, but that's once again with the reset reserves. Here we go, 18 minutes extra, that's wonderful. Exactly what we're looking for. Alright, and that's our FMS setup completed. So let's go ahead and finish our setup of the FCU, 3012, constraints and all that good stuff. Initial, I don't know, 5,000 maybe. So let's load up the ANF, and with that we are basically done with all of our setup over here. So overhead panel is done. So wow, that's quite a nice improvement here with the latest version. So we want IFR night and the high level charts, please. And here we go. Look at how nicely it's zooming that stuff now. That's good. Alright. So, here we go. That's pretty much all the good stuff done. Then, I suppose, we are just gonna go ahead and do our departure briefing, please. Alright, thanks. So we are departing Sydney, 34 left via the Sydney 1 departure, which is basically straight ahead. Climbing 5,000 initially, and the MSA on this one is 3,000. I have 20 minutes of extra fuel. Alright, thanks. One hotspot for taxi routing, and that is right over here, the crossing of the runway, 0725, and thereafter no further hotspots. I have a stop margin of, not calculated, so let's just say close to 0. And if we need to make an immediate return, we're above the max landing weight. 3-4 left is planned, that's the longest runway. So if time is available, we're gonna do the overweight landing procedure. If no time's available, well, then we're not gonna do it. Start the APU, fire up the APU bleed. That's the most important thing. Alright, I have nothing special or non-standard. Any threats from your side? No? Okay. So that's our briefing completed. Then we do have the latest Airbus checklists available now. So let's go ahead and give those a go. So, is it me or have things changed a little bit up here? Certainly looks like it. Alright, so cockpit preparation checklist, please. And I tell you what, fueling is finished, so belts are coming on. Alright, gear pits and covers removed. Fuel quantity. That's 194,900 pounds balanced. Barrel reference, QNH 3012. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. It's so nice to have those new checklists available. Alright, ADSC is connected, message record is erased, and that's it. Well then, very good. So by now we are just waiting for our load sheet to arrive, and that should basically be here now. So let's see, load sheet. Passengers, 291, and we're looking at 384.2 and the CG at 30.3. So 384.2 and 30.3. So passenger number is 291. Here we go. And, well, you're gonna remain on Econ, of course. Well, and that's it. So that leaves us with 18 minutes of extra fuel. Takeoff weight should still be good, and no changes required. Wonderful. So we are good to go down here. Okay, then let's say hello to our guests and tell GSX to prepare the position for pushback and departure. If you may. So, now's the question, how can we remove that ground power unit here? Perhaps only via GSX? Additional services, dismiss GPU. That should probably have been it. So, chocks can go, let's wait for the GPU to be disconnected. In the meantime, we'll say hello to our passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. Very good morning on board your Delta Airlines Flight 42 towards Los Angeles. Today's flight time is calculated at 13 hours and 20 minutes. We expect a mostly smooth flight at initially 35,000 feet, later on 37, 39 and 41,000. Today's flight is going to lead us on almost a straight line towards Los Angeles, and we do expect an on-time arrival, even a little bit ahead of schedule. For the time being though, thank you very much for being on board. Sit back, relax and enjoy the flight with us, and if there is anything we can do for you to make it more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, welcome aboard your Delta Airlines flight. Alright, so our passengers are briefed, then we've just got to check down here that ground power unit is still connected. So, well, the cable no longer is. Let's see if that's actually going to disappear by the time we start the pushback. That's going to be an interesting one. Okay, so, cabin crew, all doors in flight. Before start checklist, please. So, park and brake, set, takeoff speeds and thrust. So, V1 155, VR 158, V2 164, flex 44. Slides, armed, nosebuild steering disconnect memo is shown. Okay, before start checklist, complete. Ground flight deck, go. So please confirm doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed, and the bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed. Alright, thank you very much. We are ready for pushback, and that's going to be onto Gulf facing east. Roger, Gulf facing east. Release park and brake, please. Park and brake released. Thank you, starting pushback, stand by for engine start. Roger. Well, and here we go. We didn't do too many trans-Pacific flights yet on the channel, did we? I just remember one so far, the 777. I think on the same route actually, so you guys have a very good comparison between the two different aircraft types. Alright, waiting for the engines to get behind the line, but we can already select ignition start, since we've got to wait for 10 seconds after the FADEC has powered, which is now. So starting the chrono, 10 seconds, and by that time we should be clear of the roads behind us as well. Alright, 10 seconds. Ground flight, starting engine 1. Clear one. So let's see how GSX is actually gonna push us. Looks like they're pushing us into the intersection over here. Well, that's a different idea from what I had, but I suppose it's gonna work. Okay, we have a good start on 1, starting 2. Clear 2. So, are we far enough behind that we can taxi out to the right? Yeah, I guess we are. Well, not exactly what I had in mind, but if it works. Okay, push complete, set brakes. Brake set. Alright, and number 2 is slowly coming up as well. We already have ignition. Start valve should cut out any moment now. Here we go. Excellent. Waiting for the avail light to show. It should be there any moment now. Here we go. Okay, ground, we have 2 good engine starts. You're clear to disconnect. Show me the pin on the left. Please have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. So, auto trim has worked just fine. And then, here comes the ramp agent, holding the pin in the hands. Clear signal received. After start checklist, please. Ah, interesting. They want us to do the flight control check before doing the checklist. Well then, flight control check. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. And the rudder. Full left. Full right. And neutral. Alright, after start checklist. Anti-ice, off, flight control check, or flight controls, checked, and ground clearance received, after start checklist complete. Okay, so, clear right side, clear left side, brake released, brake check. Brakes okay. Then let's help it a little bit around the turn. Well, my friends, and here we go again. So, next to the right, and then we are already facing the crossing runway. It's just wonderful when you have so much help, isn't it? Got the entire moving map over here, then you've got the ANF over here. It's pretty hard to get the taxi wrong in the A350. On the other hand side, saying that right now, I'm sure we eventually will. So, over to the right hand side, and then we clear to cross runway 0. 725. Strobe lights on. Okay, clear on the right side. And we're also clear on the left side. So, for now it's just straight ahead for a little while. Alright, I have no changes to the takeoff briefing. Taxi checklist, please. Flap setting, config 1+F, radar on, taxi checklist complete. I love it when things are that easy. Even someone like me can get a checklist like that right. It's very nice to see. I'm very happy to see that IndyBuilds have added the current Airbus checklists and got rid of those old ones. Okay, so straight ahead all the way to the end. That is going to take a little while over here, but I have a feeling we are very well into the vid here at just about half an hour, so we are running quite well. So, I know you guys like the wing flex so much, so let's show a little bit of that one while we're taxiing here. The wings of the A350 are by far not as stiff as those of the A320, for example, so you do see them move quite a bit more. Now, the A330 has rather flexible wings as well, but I have a feeling IndyBuilds is doing that stuff right. Perhaps not completely physics-based, but most certainly looking very nice, and yeah, let's face it, for something that is as minor as wing flags, that's probably exactly the way to go. Just make it look good, and that's everyone happy. Remember, since we don't have any potholes or anything simulated in our Microsoft Flight Sim, normally we shouldn't see any wing movement at all, because well, there just is nothing down there. It's completely even surface. So if you had a physics-based wing flex simulation, then it probably just wouldn't do anything on the ground. Alright, so cabin crew, prepare for departure. Lineup checklists. Cabin crew. Signaled. Takeoff runway. 3, 4 left, full length. Pack 1 and 2. Off. Lineup checklist complete. Don't ask me how that tree got there. But let's see what's harder, our wing or that little piece of wood in front there. I have a feeling we're gonna win with a rather large dent in our aircraft. But you can't have it all, right? So, clear on the approach and also clear on the left. So, runway heading 5000. Are you ready? That sounded like a yes to me. Takeoff. Love the new spool behavior. Man flags 44, SS runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. .100 knots. Checked.
V1.
Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Checked. Autopilot 1. Thrust decline, climb auto thrust. So we will go straight ahead for a little bit to avoid overflying the city over there. Man, this is looking pretty cool, isn't it? So, flap 0. Speed checked. Flaps 0. Open climb heading. Then let's continue straight ahead for a little bit to fly around that amber weather over there. Yeah, this is the gap we want to take. So climb to 10,000. And then let's turn right heading 010. Like that. I can see the Opera House over there. Alright, so we'll go straight ahead for a little bit to make sure we get around that piece of weather over there, and then we can slowly set course towards our first waypoint over there. I think looking outside we are past the worst thing of it, so let's turn right heading 070. By the way, I'm not 100% sure if it's accurate, but there is no waypoint shown up there on the top right anymore. I'm fairly sure it should be showing no bar, as it should have sequenced that when overflying the altitude point on our sit. So make that further right 080, and then we can just go direct to no bar. So present position direct 2, and here we go, nav. Climb. So temperatures are good, we don't need any anti-ice over here. Might be a little bit bumpy going through this. And, well, can't really see much of Sydney anymore anyway, so, well, until next time. I'm sure we will eventually be back. Who knows, maybe sooner than later. So, what do we have up here? After no bar, a barb. And that is probably not on here. No bar. Okay. Oh, that's fine. We'll continue via no bar. That route is clear of weather as well. That's looking quite good. I was thinking about going direct to a barb, but that might just take us through this again, so I think the current track is actually quite good. We'll just continue on that one. So then, let's climb to a higher level. flight level 200, and that's 20,000 blue. So, let's see about the most important piece of information. 1618 versus 1610. We'll be able to make that up. I'm sure we will. What does it say about the extra fuel? Let's have a look. It's now 9,000 pounds, 47 minutes. That's because all the route reserves is now counting as extra fuel, since we're in the air. So 47 extra, we might just about think about going a little bit faster here to be sure we make it on time. So let's say cost index 50. Probably not going to make much of a difference, but let's see what it's going to calculate. Still 1618. Let's try cost index 80. Recalculating. 1617. Yeah, tell you what, we'll keep it at that. Don't want to go too fast here. And then we're going through 10,000. Set standard. Standard cross-check. Passing level 100 now. Checked. Okay, very cool. So, lights off. Signs. Yeah, I think we can release them. It's gonna be fine. Are off. EFIS panels are set. Then nav aids, there is nothing tuned anymore, and the optimum 353, cruise 350. I think that's a very easy decision on where to climb to. Alright, my friends, and with that we have departed Sydney. From now on, it's gonna be 13 hours over the Pacific Ocean, flying through the entire night, so enjoy the sunset, enjoy the sunrise, and then I'll see you again as we start our approach into Los Angeles. Alright, are you ready for the approach briefing? I suppose that's a yes, so let's go ahead and start setting ourselves up for today's arrival into Los Angeles. We've already entered the star and all the important pieces of information, and we're eventually going to go all the way to a Trando up here, and then out of there we will receive radar vectors for the ILS approach runway 25 left. We've passed 10,000 and we have already set everything up over here. So let's just bring on the ILS and advise the cabin crew. Cabin crew, prepare for landing. Alright, and with that now out of the way, let's go ahead and start to prepare the aircraft, or prepare ourselves, I should say, for the arrival. So that means doing the approach briefing. So pilot monitoring, this is going to be your turn. Alright, thank you very much. So we are going to do the ILS approach 25 left. We are on the GOATS 2 arrival with a Ficky transition, and we are already, well, almost in range for radar vectors for the ILS approach runway 25 left. Now, in terms of extra fuel and time, we've got, let's see, almost an hour down here, and the MSA around about 5,000 in the sector from which we are approaching. Alright, thanks, that sounds very good. We are going to do an ILS approach, flight director guided, and we will be using config 3 for the landing with maximum reverse to help with the brake cooling, as I do plan to vacate on the first exit to the right hand side. Brake to vacate is in use, and we'll eventually be crossing runway 25 right, which is the threat that I have for the arrival. And yeah, that's mostly it. Do you have any questions? Or threats? No? Wonderful. That's our briefing completed. So let's go down to 5,000 up next, and then if we take a look down here, we can see that from a Trando in 5,000, 210 knots, the only hereafter we are gonna have radar vectors. Now, one of the things that I find a little bit unfortunate is that we see each of those aircraft over here only with their registration on our TCAS, rather than to see them with their call sign, but that's a limitation of FSLTL, which I'm using for my traffic today. Well, so we're reducing 210 knots over Seal Beach, and then we will eventually go onto radar vectors, which we can already do right now. First dial open descent heading. Extend the center line out of Honda. So direct 2 course in, and the final approach course will be 251. Like this. Alright, insert, pull heading, heading. Wonderful, but you maintain those 210 knots, please. Okay, cool, so that looks pretty good. Let's activate the approach phase, and then we'll have to have a good look out for any other traffic in the area. Pull that speed brake. And down we go. So 230 at 4, 14 degrees, 3006. The latter is cross-checked. Then let's do the approach checklist, please. Barrel ref. Well, actually, beforehand, let's continue the descent. First dial open descent. Alright, so barrel ref, QNH 3006, minimum baro 340, runway condition, dry, auto brake, BTV, approach checklist complete. So nicely below the glide, Our speed is nice and slow already. A little bit of tailwind up here. But that's gonna be fine. Okay, 1,000 to go, and speed brakes are coming in. And once we level off, I will push that I'll push that speed knob in so that we can start to reduce our speed. Technically speaking, we should cross Honda above 3,600, but ATC can always take you lower, which in this case we presume is what's happened. Alright, left turn heading to 80, cleared ILS approach, runway 25 left. Speed all star, land 3, dual, autopilot 1 and 2, glide slope localizer blue. Managed speed. Block star, alt. 6 knots of tailwind, that's fine. So, 13 hours and 7 minutes in the air, and we're established on the ILS approach runway 25 left in Los Angeles. That's how quickly you can just go, halfway around the world. So, weather is no factor for us anymore, let's go into terrain as well. Quick check on the TCAS if there is anyone in front or behind us, but it doesn't look like it. Looks like we're rather lucky. The next inbounds are just about over here. Alright, flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Glide slope star. Go around altitude 2000 sets. So that intercept could have gone a little bit better. That definitely started descending a bit too late. Alright, 10 DME, but don't let them fool you. As you can see on the chart, the DME over the runway threshold is 2 DME, so we're actually only 8 miles out.
2,500.
Check. And flaps 2. Gear down. Glide slope. Flaps 3. Speed checked. Flaps 3. Landing checklist. ECAM memo. Landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. I've got to say, I like these ones a lot more than the old checklists they had previously. This is a lot better indeed, isn't it? Alright. What is it doing now? Why are you complaining? Silence. Clear auto flight. Thank you. That's better. That's much better.
1,000.
Checked. Yeah, pretty much stable. Happy to continue. Slight tailwind still, but that's gonna turn for our landing. So the runway comes inside over there. And look at that, the AI is approaching the wrong side of the airport. Because why not? Can I be bothered switching them off right now? Yeah, I can.
500.
How to destabilize approach 101. I think we're actually looking quite good. Exactly on the puppies. Almost on the center line.
300. 100 above.
Checked.
200. Minimum.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Spoilers, reverse green, BTV, decel. Manual brakes.
Auto brake off.
Alright, and with that, welcome to Los Angeles. We'll vacate the runway to the right, then go left and right again, and since we've deactivated the AI traffic, we don't need to worry about anyone while crossing the runway anymore. So, clear across 25 right. Let's make sure to get that speed down to something decent. Like this. Okay, so let's get the entire aircraft behind that line over here. Always a little bit difficult when they don't tell you exactly where to taxi next, but we'll just keep going straight and then left onto Charlie. That way we can get the entire aircraft clear. I think that's probably the best thing to do here. So, down at 10, hopefully go to the left. Alright, that's looking good so far. Then let's go ahead and clean it up. Okay, next to the right. Okay, after landing checklist. And we don't actually have one. Okay. In that case, we'll assume the after landing checklist complete. So I'll just switch the weather radar off down here already. Then we're gonna taxi around the Bradley terminal. And then we'll go on to the other side, and that's where we are gonna park. That's where the real flight parked. Always like to get my taxi data from Flight Radar 24, as you guys know. And, well, this is what it looks like. So, They brought it in all the way up here. And then they towed it to the maintenance apron, but that's going to be a different matter. That's not going to be our problem. So, the APU is available. We do have the cooldown requirements, so shut down engine 2. Alright, down to 10 knots. Let's turn to the right over here. Right into the morning sun, huh? So, a little bit of thrust on engine number 1 to accelerate again. We don't need much more than 10 knots since we've got to do a right-hand turn again at the next intersection. Then we're parking at position 133 right over here. Let's see if we can already convince GSX to spawn us a marshaller. Gate. So, 133, heavy, too small. Yeah, I doubt it. Right, no follow me needed, thanks. Handling by Delta Airlines. So we don't have a tow-in option over here. Thus, we are just gotta taxi into the terminal ourselves. And no, guys, not the way that you're currently thinking. Okay, lights off. We did turn the weather radar off. I actually have the message over here on our ecam. And then 133 next to the right. There it comes. So, 5 knots going around the turn, that's a very good speed to enter the gate. Looks like it's going a little bit uphill over here. So let's see if we need any thrust to keep the airplane moving. The guidance system is already showing A350. I expect we're parking somewhere at the very front. Stop. So, bleed coming on and shutdown number 1. Cabin crew, all doors in park. And here we go. Wow, they're quick opening up the cargo holds down there. And they're even quicker opening up the doors. What are they doing? Come on. I don't care. I don't want to know. Alright, parking checklist. Park and brake our trucks. Brake set. Wing light. Off. Parking checklist complete. Well then, let's go ahead and request deboarding. And we also want the ground power unit. Oh, interesting. 4 passengers deboarded already with closed doors. Through the cargo hatches, I suppose. Okay, no further comment on that. Operate the jetway, please. Get it connected. And you can get us a ground power unit as well, please. Let's just hope that that's gonna work out eventually. Alright, if not, we of course have our APU, and that is gonna do the job. So guys, thank you very much for flying along. I hope you enjoyed the flight as much as I did. Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and let me know what you think about it, as that's paramount to improving future videos. For the time being though, thank you very much for watching. And if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and see you all again on the next one.